Uh, Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Licensing Committee meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. My name is Councillor Paul Alexander and I will be chairing tonight's meeting. I'd like to remind all participants of a few housekeeping points. Please keep your microphones muted unless you are speaking. Please keep your camera turned on when you speak at the hearing. Please note that the chat function has been disabled. If parties wish to add any additional information other than at the allotted time to speak, they must use the raise hand function so they are not missed. I also ask that members keep their questions and comments brief and to the point. I now move to item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Have we had any apologies for absence?
None, Chair.
None. Declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest?
No, Chair.
No, Chair.
Item 3, 97 to 88 Sports Cafe, basement 39A Goldhawk Road, London W12 8QP. I'd like to ask everyone present to introduce yourself as I call you. We should have with us, and can you correct me if I don't pronounce this correctly, Mr. Samuel Tsugai.
Yes.
Jared Oyancha, representing the applicant. Sorry, Jared, I can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Andrew Overton, Licensing Policy and Enforcement Manager.
Present. Thank you, Chair.
Carol Friggis Thomas, Community Safety Officer, interested party, objecting.
Present. Thank you, Chair.
Sophia Ali, local resident, objecting.
She's just joining now, Chair.
Sophia, if you can hear us, can you respond that you're here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Miss Felicity Taylor, local resident, objecting.
Yes, present.
Councillors Jacqueline Daly. Councillor Daly, if you can hear us, can you respond, please?
Chair, Councillor Daly appears not to be connected to audio at the moment.
Councillor Melton.
Thank you, Chair.
Now, Councillor Jacqueline Daly will also be attending on behalf of Miss Irene Revilla Garcia, a local resident in objection who's unable to attend. And Councillor Daly and Councillor Ross Melton will be attending on behalf of Jonathan Swan, local resident in objection but unable to attend. Anthony Fox.
Yeah, present.
Chair, there's also a couple of people on the list that you've missed. There's Alicia Collins from licensing, and there should be Emmanuel from legal as well.
I do apologise to the officers for taking you for granted. Alicia Collins.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. And Emmanuel Amponza.
Present, Chair.
Thank you. I'll now explain the procedure. Before we can consider the application today, I can confirm that in addition to the main agenda, a supplementary agenda was published on the 1st of November 2022 and circulated to all parties. May I quickly explain the procedure the committee will follow? We will hear from the following. Firstly, the licensing officer will introduce the application. Then the objectors who have registered to speak. And finally, Mr. Samuel Tsugai and Jared Onyancha, the applicant and his representative. Usually each party will address the committee once for a maximum of 5 minutes. Following the presentation by all parties, the committee may ask questions of any party or other person present at the party. Please be clear, no party has the right to ask any question of any other party during the hearing. Following the presentation and questioning, each party will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to sum up. The committee will then retire for deliberations, and upon its return it will announce the committee's decision. Please keep your remarks as concise as possible. We now hear from the licensing officer. Can I ask the licensing officer, Andrew Overton, to introduce the application?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, panel. So just by way of background, I can confirm that on the 15th of July 2022, Mr. Tuzgai submitted an application to vary the premises licence in respect of the business known as 97 to 98 Sports Cafe, which I believe is located in the basement of 39A Goldhawk Road, W12 8QP. This application sought to extend the hours for the sale of alcohol along with the opening hours of the premises, and also add the provision of late night refreshment both indoors and outdoors, so as to allow customers to stay within the premises later into the evening. The licensing team received 1 representation from the council's community safety team, 2 representations from the Apex Court Management Company, and 19 representations from local residents objecting to the application during the 28-day consultation period. You will note from the report that the applicant has now reached an agreement with the police licensing team on the proposed hours. This is outlined in quite some detail in section 1.3 of the report that you should have before you. Please note that 2 conditions have been agreed with the police licensing team, and this means that there shall be no new re-entry to customers after 11 p.m. And it also means that late night refreshment provided outdoors shall only be by way of delivery service only to bona fide businesses or to a residential address. Additionally, if you could also note, there has now been a supplementary agenda issued by the licensing authority. This agenda outlines some additional comments provided by a local resident who has already submitted a representation during the consultation period, and it's essentially expanding on what that person has already said. I've got no other comments at this stage unless you've got any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. We can now hear from the objectors. I call firstly Carol Friggis Thomas, Community Safety Officer. Carol, can you hear us?
Apologies, sorry, I'm having just some few technical problems. Yes, Chair, I can hear you. So just to, for a bit of background, my role is Community Safety Officer. I work in the north of the borough in Hammersmith and Fulham. And I attended a residents' ward panel meeting back in July. And at this particular meeting, the residents mentioned that in Woodger Road, there was a premises there and which was causing a lot of antisocial behaviour to them. Prior to this, I wasn't aware of the sports cafe and the issues that arose there. So what I did, I got in touch with the local Safe and Neighbourhood policing team just to find out what was happening for the residents. And they produced me with a report. And at that time, what the local Safe and Neighbourhood policing team did was they actually applied for some temporary CCTV cameras to be placed at the location. They in the application, they cited that they had been receiving reports of a fray in the location, fights, suspected drug dealing. They had made around 7 arrests from January 2022, and they were concerned about the levels in this predominantly residential area of antisocial behaviour and potential criminality. Hence their application for a temporary CCTV camera to be installed at the location. The camera has been installed, has been deployed at the location, and I'm just waiting, obviously, for any reports of a fray to feed back to residents and and our let officers. So that's my position in my objection. And my objection is really around the fact that it's a residential area, the levels of reports that the police have been receiving, the concerns from the residents who live locally, what they've reported that they've witnessed and the impact that it's having on them. Also, the location is quite unique in the fact of there's only one entrance in and out because it is actually a cul-de-sac. There are a high concentration of buildings where people live, and there's not any other activity happening around there apart from where people live. So there are lots of concerns from residents, and that's why I felt that I needed to object. Thank you.
Chair, you need to unmute yourself. Chair, you need to unmute yourself. Unmute your microphone, please.
I do apologise. I was just going to explain that everybody has 5 minutes to speak, and I would ask people to try and be concise, please. I now call Sophia Ali.
Hi. Hi, sorry about that. My issue basically is that first and foremost, the location of the venue is actually not on Goldhawk Road. It is on a small cul-de-sac, which is a residential area with families, children, and what happens is that the customers of the venue stand on the street outside smoking, talking on the phone loudly, and we have children that have bedrooms over the on the street side where the customers come in, and their conversations are very loud on the phone. They have been sitting on the windowsill by our flat, so we've had to actually pay out of pocket to have flower boxes put there so that their customers weren't sitting and actually talking loudly on the phone under the windows. They block the sidewalk, unfortunately, so that people coming with groceries or prams or with pets can't actually pass. There's a lot of loud conversation which keeps people up. There's a lot of smoking, and so you have a lot of cigarette butts. We've had some encounters with some of the, unfortunately, with some of the customers there that have resulted in some uncomfortable behavior. We've had some cattle calling of some of our guests. I've had guests have to report back to me that they felt uncomfortable. And general basic loitering has been a problem for us because it's loud. Those are my basic issues.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. Was there anything else you wanted to say? Don't have to say anything.
Well, I think I could go as far as to say that I've had a personal encounter with a couple of the customers that have been, it's resulted in very uncomfortable, I would even call it an assault. And even after having gone and spoken to the owner of the venue, and I've asked many times for there to be some attempts made to keep the sidewalks clean and to have certain individuals that had actually come been quite violent with some of us on 2 occasions to have them not be permitted into the premises anymore, and they continue to be there. And so this has been very, very upsetting to us. And that was before there was a request to extend hours. So it felt very, very disingenuous, I would say, that there was an attempt made to try and keep, that there was going to be an attempt made to try and keep the activities down, and yet an application made to increase the activities.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sophia. Can I now call Miss Felicity Taylor?
Hello.
Good evening.
I'd just like to echo everything that Sophia said. The only thing I'd like to add in addition to what she said is that a primary concern of mine is the additional noise that I would expect to come from the off-premises food and alcohol delivery that is part of this application. As it stands, as it's been mentioned, this is a cul-de-sac. And as you know, a lot of these food deliveries will come in on very noisy mopeds. And if that's allowed currently till 11 o'clock, then that is what it is. But if this is going to be extended till 1 or 2 a.m., I don't find that level of noise to be acceptable at that time of the morning.
Well, thank you for being very, 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 very concise. If you're happy, I'll move on to the next person.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Can I call Councillors Jacqueline Daly and Ross Melton? Now, just to be clear, because you're speaking on behalf of a resident who would normally have 5 minutes, between you councillors on this particular part, you have 5 minutes between you. Councillor Daly is also representing another resident, so she has another 5 minutes when she's speaking for that resident. So can I maybe preempt you and ask Councillor Melton to go first, and then Councillor Daly to use up the remaining time? Councillor Melton, if that's acceptable. Is that okay, Councillor Daly?
Chair, I don't mind speaking first. I have 2 residents, Jonathan Swan and Irene Ravila, to speak on behalf of. They both have very similar points of view. So perhaps I could just speak for both of them in the one segment. Would that be suitable?
That would be fine, and that will save everybody time. So I'll go to Councillor Melton now and then come back to you. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Alexander. I'd like to cede the floor to my colleague, Councillor Daly, and I will pick up any points that I can add afterwards.
Thank you very much. We've got 2 very chivalrous councillors. Councillor Daly, please.
Thank you, Chair. So Councillor Melton and I have been discussing the application with residents for the past couple of months. I think that we've heard really eloquently from lots of residents. I'm sorry I missed the very beginning of the meeting. I had some technical issues, but I think we've heard really eloquently of a number of the issues. I can reiterate those, but I'd also like to start off by going back to what the council policy is and kind of looking at that and looking at the Licensing Act and what that tells us, if I may, Chair, if you'll indulge me. Because I think that when we look at kind of policy 1, the proximity to the residential properties, we can see that the crux of the issue really is its location. And under our policy, the committee is asked to consider then if the premises are located in a mixed-use area or a residential area. There are different times for closing, dependent on whether the committee believes this to be a mixed-use area or a residential area. And I think the residents are really eloquently putting it to the committee that it's actually a very residential area. The door and the property is on Woodger Road. Woodger Road is a lovely little street with some townhouses and a really nice block of flats called Apex Court. if we look at kind of Section 182 of the Licensing Act, which our own policy asks us to, I think we'll find that Section 2, subsection 18, states how important it is to focus on the effect of persons living and working in the area around the premises and where that might be disproportionate and unreasonable. And the issue here, as you've heard, is noise nuisance, it's litter, and also kind of residents report sort of noxious smells, a lot of smoking, a lot of standing around and socializing outside and in the streets. So subsection 19 asks us to remember that prevention of public nuisance can include low-level nuisance. Perhaps it just affects a few people living locally. So even if we consider the impact was only a number of properties in very close proximity and ignored the fact that residents talk about the streets being blocked and there being a kind of a general nuisance, even if we just looked at the impact on those residents that are above and right next to the property, we still have a duty to prevent nuisance for them. If you don't mind, subsection 22 asks us to look at appropriate conditions that should normally focus on the most sensitive periods. So here we have to think about those street disturbances we have to expect in the early morning when residents in adjacent properties will be attempting to sleep. And in particular, Irene Ravila, in her communication with me and in our conversations, has talked about right now with the bar closing at 11 o'clock, children are woken up when customers are leaving. If that time pushes further back, I think the real fear is that there'll be a lot more people that are being woken up at that point. And I think we have to take that into consideration. And also, this isn't just a case of customers entering and leaving. Jonathan Swan has, I think, spelled out in his objection quite clearly that because the bar itself is in a basement, it doesn't have a shop front as such, and the entrance is just a doorway down to some stairs, so that when people come out to smoke or when they're going in, they're going out, they are on the street right in front, and it's a residential street. And I think we have to bear in mind that this is this will create a space for people to congregate, to socialize, to chat, to smoke outside on the street until past 11 o'clock. And I think we have a duty of kind of care to these residents to sort of listen to what their objections are here. If I can just have a quick look back and just see whether Jonathan Swan gave me any other points that he really would like me to speak about. He has some real issues around Shepherd's Bush having very few places to get late night drinks, which might make you think, well, there's a need for a bar that allows you to do this. But his point is that allowing a late license will attract more people who are already drunk to the residential area and will add to the issues of antisocial behaviour that they're experiencing there. And that he's saying that from the application, he understands this kind of late night refreshment is something you get to eat and drink on your way home, but that doesn't match the premises. It's a cafe, a basement bar with a pool or snooker table, which kind of implies that it's a place to spend an extended amount of time, and that he says it's confirmed by the fact that people come up to take smoke breaks. So it's not a kind of a place that people are passing. He also makes one final point, if I still have some time, and I can't quite see whether you're timing me out there, Chair, but he says that there is only one staircase with no alternative exit, which potentially isn't even suitable for the number of customers that a late night refreshment bar may attract. Councillor Melton, do you have anything that you think I should have added?
Sorry, Councillor Daly. I know you're helping. I'll ask Councillor Melton if he wants to say anything. Have you concluded?
Sorry, Chair, of course.
Councillor Melton, please.
As is so often the case, I have very little to add to my colleague's very eloquent description, other than to underline the key points, which are that the location of the business is a bit of a misnomer, that the actual footprint of the business is largely on Woodger Road. which to my mind would suggest that its footprint and impact is within a residential area, which impacts its licensing provisions. I would underline my colleague Councillor Daly's, as well as the local residents' concerns about the nature of the building itself and its suitability for a late night license, highlighting that it has minimal, it has no outside space, and has some concerns around its fire safety provisions.
Can I get you to wind up anything you're going to say?
And finally, to very much underline the concerns of local residents around the attraction of antisocial behaviour to their homes in the middle of the night. Thank you for the time, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Milton. I'll now go to Mr. Anthony Fox from W12 Management Company.
Yes, hi, Chair.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'm on the residents board at Apex Court, and obviously we talk regularly with the residents and get feedback from them on things that are happening in the area around the building. This has been a hot topic. I think there are a multiple number of issues which have been discussed already. I just wonder whether this venue, this property, actually was intended to be granted a license provision initially, or whether that was somehow a mistake because of the location, as others have said, in the residential rather than it's a mixed use area. So I wonder whether it's even the fault of the owner, who's in good faith probably bought that business and is trying to run it. One might argue whether they're running it to the best that they could, or whether they are they could do better. That's probably a separate discussion. But given the issues that we've had, and I think a lot of them are coming from the fact where it's actually located and the fact that it's in this small cul-de-sac. The issues we've encountered are largely just from people being customers there and wanting to enter the venue, but their world is colliding with our world, which is kind of a residential world where we just want to get on with our lives. But it's kind of, there's a clash there. So something's going wrong, and I wonder how we can resolve that. We've Sophie Ali has also mentioned, we've been in contact with Samuel. We've tried to resolve it, but the fact that this has now gone into a extension request on the license has got us all extremely alarmed, because obviously the issues were there before the extension of the license was requested. We're actually querying whether licensing provisions should even been given to that property in the first place before the current owner has taken place. Actually, that property, I don't believe, should ever be operating in this location. Just to make my point clear.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Was there anything further you wanted to add?
No, just apart from the fact that many people have been affected by this, and not just antisocial behaviour, but verbal abuse. And so there's been many issues which obviously would like to avoid happening again in the future, which have been reported to the police.
Thank you very much. So I'll now come to the applicant. Mr. Samuel Sigai, with Jared Onyancha speaking on behalf of the applicant. I would expect that at a later point there may well be a question that the applicant's representative may not be able to answer, and the applicant may wish to add something. So if I can now turn to, so are you going to speak, Mr. Sigai, or is Jared going to speak?
If you give me 5 minutes or so, even Jared is going to speak, but I'll let Jared speak first, or do you want me to speak? I don't. Either way.
Ultimately, jointly, you have up to half an hour to respond in joint speaking time. So I think that there's plenty of time for you to be able to do that. But just if we can just do it in a way that people will understand.
Sure. Jared, you speak first.
All right. Mr. Chair, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Jared, and I work with Sammy closely to help manage his business. Now, Sports Cafe is not a pub, it's not a drinking establishment. It's just a venue that's for food. It's a cafe that serves a little bit of alcohol to the customers. Now, there has been a few of these allegations, but I would like to say that Sports Cafes, following the 4 licensing objectives very well, they are trying to ensure that crime is kept to a minimum. They're preventing any form of crime. They are trying to prevent any form of public nuisance. The DPS, who is Mr. Sam, is doing that to his best ability. They are trying to ensure that the members of the public, including the neighborhood, are kept safe, and they're trying to make sure that they protect children from harm. So in terms of the 4 licensing objectives that every licensing venue should observe, Sports Cafe are doing that. The police haven't had any problem with Sports Cafe. I think most of the claims that the neighbors are putting across, I think most of them, I could say they're not very genuine, because they're talking of drug dealing, but none of them would have a crime reference number. They would have reported the issue to the police. One of the neighbors say they were allegedly assaulted by one of the patrons from the venue. I don't believe that was true, because she should have reported that to the police, and the individual should have been arrested. I don't agree with anybody going on the streets and assaulting another member of the public for any reason. So they've talked about litter. I've personally visited the venue a number of times. The outside of the venue has been kept nice and tidy. They've cleaned the outside of the venue every day, and that's been kept nice and clean. In terms of noise nuisance, I think, again, that's not genuine, that's not true. The DPS, who is Mr. Sam, is trying to manage these customers. The customers are not allowed to linger around outside the venue. There is a sign clearly says outside the premises that the customers must respect the neighbors and the neighborhood, and they must keep the noise low, and the customers are not allowed to linger around the venue. And the customers that smoke normally have to go on the high streets at Gold Hawk Road, and there's a council-provided bin facility there with a smoking extinguisher on top. So that's where the customers from Sports Cafe will normally go and smoke, and that's on the high streets, not on Uja Road. And something else they talked about is loitering, and that goes back to the same things, people smoking outside the premises. I can assure that there is no customers from Sports Cafe that's been standing on Uja Road smoking there. They normally would smoke from the high street on Gold Hawk Road, and there's a bin that's been provided by the local authority there. Now, the premises has got CCTV that's functioning, and the police can request the footage at any time, and that CCTV is everywhere in the premises. There is no any form of drug dealing. There's no any form of antisocial behavior, and any customers that's misbehaved, they've been banned from the venue. So from the last 3 or 4 months, a few customers, personally I was there and I've witnessed, he has a list of customers that have been banned from the venue. The DPS, who is Mr. Sam, is trying to do his best to make sure that the premises is being run in harmony with the neighborhood, and that the business activities are not having a negative impact on the neighborhood. He's got his contact at the venue, and neighbors and customers are allowed to contact him if there's any problems. And on a few occasions, they've contacted him, and he's, been positive, and he's, addressed their concerns. I visited the premises several times. I could say they are, managing the 4 licensing objectives. They are preventing crime. They are preventing any form of public nuisance. They are, making sure that the customers and the members of the public and the neighbors are safe, and they are, protecting children from harm. So it's a venue that's, just selling a bit of food to the, a community, and they're just requesting the council to, have their license extended by just an hour or 1.5 hours to midnight. And the police have agreed, because the police are confident that the DPS is running the venue in a manner that is responsible. And whatever concerns the neighbors would have, I'm sure the DPS will be able to address those issues if they are there in the first place. And he's just trying to manage the area. I'm sure the business is, contributing to the economy of the local neighborhood. And so rather than complaining, I would, expect that the neighbors should, appreciate that there's at least a business that's contributing to the economy of the neighborhood. It might be in a very little way, but that's a contribution. After COVID, a lot of businesses closed. So it's just a business that's trying to survive. So the police would have agreed to extend the hours to midnight because the police had the confidence that the premises is being run legally and lawfully, and there's no any form of crime that's been reported to the police that's happening in Sports Cafe. So, Mr. Chair, so I'm just here to request that the council should, agree and just extend the hours of the premises by just half an hour to by 1 hour from 300 hours to midnight. And that's only on Monday to Saturday, and then on Sunday, the premises will be closing. Same throughout the week. So that's my request, that the premises are observing the full licensing objectives. They are following the law. They're not breaking any laws. All these allegations that neighbors have put across, I would just say there's merely allegations. They're not things that have been reported to the police. If somebody was drug dealing, that should have been a crime. And the individuals that saw drug dealing should have reported that to the police. But unfortunately, they're just, allegations or false accusations, I may say. So I'm just requesting that Mr. Chair and the councillors and the, the licensing department would allow Sports Cafe to continue operating. Thank you.
Thank you. Does Mr. Sagai want to speak? Can I just clarify? This is an application to extend a license. It's not a review of the existing license.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, Adrian, could you just clarify that? It was just, I wasn't sure whether Jared was saying that they should continue to be able to do something. I got a little bit confused.
No, yeah, just to clarify, Chair, that's correct. It's a variation application. So there'll be no effect this evening. Whatever decision that you take, you and other members take, they can't take away anything from the license that they've already got. Like, you can only make a decision on what they're applying for to extend, if you see what I mean. Yeah, that's correct.
Adrian, thank you very much for clarifying that. I do beg your pardon, Mr. Sagai, I had to just clarify something.
No, that's all right. That's all right, Chair. May I speak? Yeah, and also I always about the littering and smoking batteries or anything like that. I always me and my staff, if there is anything, we clear it, we sweep it every day, and we even wash the pavement with hot water and bleach, and we keep the place nice and tidy. And about Sophia mentioned about she came across with few of, can you hear me? And Sophia mentioned she came across with a few of the customers, and apparently it was one time that she reported to me, but she trying to take a picture of I think it was my customer. Yeah, and I think that's the only thing that I can I have recorded. But anything else, I mean, the customers that who come to me, most of them are hardworking guys, and I don't see any problem. They do listen to anything that I am saying to them, and they're trying to keep everything, nice and especially the pavement side. I'm saying to them, even for 1 second, I'm not allowing them to hang around there, because it's just to keep my neighbors happy as possible as I can. And I'm running flat out to do things right here, and I will never stop to get things right as well.
Is there anything further you wanted to say?
Thanks, Chair. So just to add on that, I just want to add on the deliveries. The DPS will be in control of that, and is not going to allow the delivery drivers to park their mopeds outside their shop. They're usually going to park on the high street on Gold Oak Road, and that would control the noise. So they would just walk. The entrance to Sports Cafe is only about 10 meters from Gold Oak Road. So it's not that it's too way far from the main street. It's only about 10 meters, about 10 steps away from Gold Oak Road. So they are not allowed to go further down to the residential area. So it's only between that entrance to the main road that they would be operating. That's about 10 steps. And so the fact that the DPS is going to keep an eye on that, the CCTV, they'll not be allowed to park their bicycles or mopeds on outside the venue. So they'll be parking on the main high street. So that would keep the noise to a minimum. And the DPS, like I said earlier, Mr. Chair, he's up to his own things. He's up prompt with managing the venue. He's constantly vigilant to make sure that customers don't hang around outside the premises. Once they leave and they go away to their destinations. So maybe he will try and improve on that to just make sure that the neighbors are comfortable and happy that the premises are not bringing any disturbance to the neighborhood, and that the premises are there and operating, to improve the local community and improve the, the local economy, especially after the COVID pandemic when most of the businesses closed. So we are just requesting that the committee please consider the variation and, grant them the extra 1 hour that they've requested for. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'll now move on. And I will ask the committee to ask questions. The committee can ask questions of any party about the application issues that have been raised at the hearing. Before they do, I have one small question just to clarify. Is Goldhawk Road double yellow lines, which means that nobody can park on there at any time of day or night? So this was to Jared, who said that the mopeds can park on the main road.
No, there is a car park where council provided car park. You can park there. So Jared didn't know that one.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just around the corner there's where you can park for local shops. Pick and park and shops. So we have that literally like 2 seconds from the shops.
2 seconds.
Yeah, it's just around the corner. Yeah, it's just.
Got any idea of that in meters?
It's just there, and but I'm not. To be honest, the late night we're not even pushing like late night refurbishment. We just added that, but we're not even.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Now I'm going to pass over to councillors, but I see Tony Fox has got his hand raised. Unless it's accidental, you can't ask questions. It's only committee members who can ask questions. So I'll now hand over to Councillor Stanton and then Councillor Kwon. And of course, they can come back to ask further questions.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to everybody who has already spoken. I've only got a couple of small questions. and this is to well, either Samuel or Jared, if you don't mind me calling you by your first names. And this is following on from the chair's question about parking, actually. With regards to the potential deliveries, can I ask what you are currently doing in terms of deliveries, and also how do you advertise or make the delivery sales? Is it through sort of Uber Eats or Just Eat, or do you do it through, I don't know, over the telephone? My question for asking is I'd like to know whose riders or drivers do you use? Are they your own, or are they kind of Uber Eats people?
We're not delivering anything yet, but I was thinking to, because since the business is all this issue around resident thing, it brought my business into its knee, and I was thinking a little bit to benefit from, like, you know, if I can do a bit of delivery, and my business got affected because of, you know, all this. I can say by 60% I'm down, and I'm really just surviving. And then I was thinking to join Uber Eats and Deliveroo, but since this thing come, and I don't even want it, to be honest. And I am a person who, you know, passionate about not to disturb people. And in all honesty, I don't even want that, because at the end of the day, you pay hefty 35%, and it makes your kitchen busy, it makes your staff busy. I'm not even looking to do a delivery in all honesty, but I just added it there because, just like, you know, if I can get any help, sometimes, you know, because we small business and there is another Ethiopian restaurant around the corner from us, and they do really well, and we struggle to sell things, and we thought, like, if we can advertise on Uber Eats or Deliveroo, then if you can help us. And you know, I'm a family man, I'm a father of two, and sometimes to go home empty-handed to your kids, it hurts, really hurts. And it's just, I just thought, like, if I can, I'm just a person who's trying his best, and really truly, I'm not looking to do it the delivery, because it's not worth it, to be honest. So the late night refreshment, we can even like, I can even, I'm not, seriously, it's not even worth it, to be honest. So yeah, and another thing, if I can just add, well, we wanted, like, you know, like I said, the business was affected really bad, and we wanted, like, you know, to 2 a.m. and the police said no, and we agreed to 12, and on top of that, no admission from 11. So mind you, we're just going to serve in the people that we have. So it's only 1 hour we're talking about, like from 11 to 12. So it's just that 1 hour. If you can help us, you know, sell even a little bit, then, you know. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Samuel. I don't know if anybody else is getting it, but there's some kind of noise on the line. Francis, are you able to deal with that, or identify what's causing the problem?
No, Chair, it's just the applicant's microphone. When you're not speaking, I'm ensuring everyone else in the meeting is actually muted, so it's interference at his end, Chair.
Okay, thank you for. So, is there anything you can do about your microphone?
Me? Oh, can you not hear me? Can you hear me?
There's quite a lot of noise coming through as you're speaking.
Okay, then can I speak from Jared, maybe?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah.
Chair, sorry, if I can interrupt, it might be because they're sat quite close together. Sometimes that causes the interference, and if they could move further apart, that might reduce it.
Hello, can you hear me all right now?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was just saying, I mean, yeah, the delivery thing is a bit, it's a big ask for me for now, but we were just thinking, like, you know, business was really down, and it's not, we're trying to, you know, a little bit sell, but if it's bringing us, like, you know, a lot of mazes, whatever, I can, I'm not looking to do it, and it's not, we're not doing it even now, so that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you very much. Right, so now keep your headphones on because I will be asking you another question. I don't know if you can hear me. When Jared made his presentation on your behalf, he did mention that you have, over the past year or so, had occasion to ban some customers. I was just wondering whether you could give us an indication of two things. One, roughly how many people, and also the sort of reasons for those bans.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, some people, they just don't listen. They think it's funny because
Right.
talking, going to further. Now let me speak. Yeah.
What you explained to me yesterday.
Yeah. No, some customers, they think that they tell me like, you know, oh, your shop is down that side. We have the right to be on the side. And I have sign inside my shop saying, please do not go right, which is towards to Apex Court. And I have mentioned this 1,000,000 times, especially to customers of mine, and they did not listen. Like, you know, sometimes they go there to speak and I say to them, listen, please do not go that way. And then it was just yesterday, Jared was with me, and this guy, I just texted him saying, please, you're not welcome here anymore. As much as it hurts, because he's one of my regular customers, but he just he does not feel my pain. And I said to him, listen, there are kids on that, family on that block of window, so you cannot speak or smoke standing there. And I made it clear for him, maybe like, you know, plenty times, and he did not take it. Didn't take any notice of it. And then I said, you know what, I've had enough of this. Thank you very much for your custom, and please do not come here anymore. And I just texted him. I showed Jared yesterday, and it's not funny when people complain about, like, you know, they're saying like, you know, you're speaking, and please, there's main road, go on main road. But he did not listen. And there was another guy as well, similar. He thought, like, you know, all the time he want to argue with me. And I said, look, you know, I showed him all the complaints from you guys sent me, and he thought it's funny. You would not believe how much stress and, you know, it's even impact on my mental health. I can say it's so hard, and really, really, it's been tough for me. And I'm trying my absolute best, and I am the kind of person who wants to do things right, and he wants to put things right. I was speaking with Sophie all the time. Sophie now, she doesn't even speak to me. I say good morning and stuff, and she, as soon as I applied, I don't know what kind of crime I have done, but she doesn't even speak to me. She sees me, she just blatantly black me, and I still say good morning because I can understand her pain. So I'm still gonna do the right thing. I'm still working, and if there is anything that I need to report to the police, or I need to report to you guys, I will 100% do it, and there is nothing to hide. And I'm here to put things right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one more question, Chair, and this is to Carol Fregus Thomas, if I might. Carol, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Thank you. It's just I wasn't quite sure what you were saying earlier about the CCTV that's gone in. Could you just? I wasn't sure how long it has been in for, and why there hadn't been the report of you know what it has seen yet, especially given the fact that this hearing is taking place today. I would have thought it might have been kind of looked at or produced before this evening.
Yeah, in July when I went to the ward panel meeting, that was when I was made aware of the issues at Woodrow Road. After then, the police applied for the CCTV camera to be placed at the location. Since July and now, we have had very high demand for temporary CCTV cameras in the borough. We've had events happening. We've had polo in the park. We've had lots of different events happening where the temporary CCTV cameras have been used to obviously for those events. So we've had a very limited amount of cameras, which is why the cameras have just gone in now.
She's talking about different things.
The temporary camera at Woodrow Road has only been in position since today. And that was because I've really pushed the engineers to get it in. So for that purpose, we haven't had any incidents of note that we can say that we've witnessed any incidents using this temporary CCTV camera.
Okay, so for the purposes of tonight's meeting, effectively the cameras aren't actually in, albeit they went in today.
Yeah.
There's okay. Thank you very much. That's it, I think, for me, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Stanton. Councillor Kwong, please.
Thank you, Chair. I have questions for Adrian Overton, Mr. Overton, Tony Fox and Samuel or Jared. If I could start with Mr. Overton, can I just double check that although the agreement with the police for the alcohol licence has gone back to 12:30 and midnight, the extension to the opening hours is still standing. So current operations, it starts at 2 p.m, but the applicant has put in the request to open from midday from noon. That still stands, doesn't it? That's a live part of the application.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no change to that, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, if I could next go to Jared or Samuel, if you don't mind me using your first names. I did hear what you said about being very committed to making sure that there wasn't any crime and that you're trying to see your best, which, you know, I appreciate. However, I did want to ask about how you are trying to enforce, because I think that there is clearly some kind of, while your intention might be that your customers don't cause any trouble and they don't loiter and so on, we have had numerous submissions, both from people who've spoken today and also in the report, that there have been those incidences. So how are you currently trying to make sure that your customers don't cause antisocial behaviour or problems for the local residents? And also, how would you, if you were granted this late night extension to the alcohol licence, how would you ensure that that didn't happen late at night, causing disturbance to the residents of that close?
Thanks, Councillor Bor, if you don't mind. So Sam is DPS, he's managing the venue, he's monitoring the venue all the time when the venue is open. There is CCTV that's monitored from a screen at the counter, and he makes a physical appearance outside every hour, couple of hours. Customers have been banned, the ones that breach the rules that we have at the premises. Customers have been asked not to return to the venue. So that way we would make sure that the neighbors are, you know, kept happy, or they kept feeling safe. Customers are not allowed to linger around outside the premises or at their doorsteps. So if they're leaving, they have to leave all the way, go outside. The signs there clearly says no loitering, no lingering around, no, you know, hanging about in groups. They normally have to leave the venue and completely go to their destinations. Smoking is not permitted outside, and that's physically monitored. So Sammy normally patrols the premises, goes in and out to make sure nobody's lingering outside the premises. And there's camera as well. For the few moments that is not upstairs, there's cameras at the front of the, you know, the counter that he clearly overlooks their frontage. So he makes physical patrols at the premises, and there's an intercom as well right outside to speak to anybody that's outside the premises. There's an intercom, there's a loudspeaker to speak to them and ask them to leave their premises completely. So that's being monitored. And if the councillors and the committee would grant to extend, then he'll even increase and intensify those patrols, and he'll make sure that customers are not permitted at all to linger around the premises and to cause any neighbors any, you know, unpleasant behavior. Actually, that's unacceptable, and I'm sure Sam has reiterated that he's a family man himself, and he would not want the neighbors to feel uncomfortable in their neighborhood. So that's going to be continue to be enforced in that way, please.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you're doing now doesn't seem to be sufficient to stop the incidents that people are reporting. So whilst you might have people going up and down once an hour or so on, it sounds like there's still instances where this behaviour is happening, even though you're trying your best. So what you're doing now doesn't seem to be sufficient for the current operating hours. If it was late at night, you know, have you considered having a permanent, you know, like a security staff member that would ensure that that didn't happen? Because as I said, the current arrangements, however sort of best in, you know, the best of intentions you have, it doesn't seem to be sufficient to stop the disturbance in the area.
All right, just to respond to that, Councillor Bora, I had actually a discussion with Sammy yesterday, and I've asked him that during the busy times of the business, he should have a permanent security operative that's obviously licensed by the Security Industry Authority. So he should have a permanent security operative standing outside, just making sure neighbours are safe, that customers are not lingering about the venue. So I had that discussion with him. It's something he's planning to do, and he has that in mind. So there's plans to have a permanent security operative outside the premises at busy times to just make sure the neighbours are kept safe and nobody's lingering about to cause any, you know, unsocial behaviour, any unrest to the neighbours.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fox, Tony Fox, are you available for a quick question?
Yes. Hello.
Thank you. I'm asking a question in your role, I believe, as a somewhat of a representative of a sort of collective representative of the residents in the area. Can I ask sort of how far back the instances of antisocial behaviour and complaints that you've been sort of recording or hearing have been, and have they changed? Have they sort of increased in frequency, or have they got better depending on conversations you've had? Just last time, sort of when if there was a particular sort of reason it would happen, and whether it would possibly get worse with the late night opening.
Yeah, so there's been a venue operating at that address for quite a long time, several years.
Mm-hmm.
I believe before the current owner has purchased the business. There were issues in the previous. Under the previous ownership as well. So we've always had really issues. We've been in the industry for about 8 years. So we have familiarity with that business. And it seems to have increased since new ownership has taken place. I don't know why, it's probably irrelevant, but noticeably efforts I can see are being made by the owners to decrease, but I wonder if those efforts are because of this hearing was upcoming or not, and the level of confidence I have on whether these issues will reappear once these extensions are granted are not high. I'm not confident that we won't return back to issues. Yeah, that's the general kind of summary of it.
And just one last question. The previous business that was there, was that also a licensed, similar kind of sort of cafe establishment? So food and alcohol opening till, you know, in the evening, later in the evening?
Yes, the previous business was called Gilas Cafe, I believe. I'm not sure whether the licensing agreement with that previous business was the same as the current one.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to know that. Don't worry. I just wanted to know whether the nature of when it's been of the business has been the same. Okay, thank you so much. No further questions from me, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Corn. Councillor Stanton.
Thank you, Chair. I did actually just have a question for licensing, if I might, which is a general question. I see that a temporary event notice was applied for and was rejected due to police engagement. How often does this happen, that the police will actually object to a temporary event notice?
Thank you, Councillor. Do you mean sort of typically across the borough?
Yeah.
Temporary event notices that we receive.
The type of event applied for. Yeah.
It's difficult to say an exact figure, but I would say maybe 5 to 10% of the temporary event notices we get objections. So it is quite a rare thing. And when we do get objections, they're normally agreed. There's normally no need for it to go to a licensing subcommittee for a decision to be made. But it is reasonably rare for an objection to be raised, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions, and if I can start off, I see we've got 4 local residents here, and can I leave it to you, who I assume you can all answer this, have any of you ever had any problems with any of the other nearby establishments, such as, is it the Syndicum Social and the Brewdog and the various other bars that have been from time to time? Have you actually made any reports to the authorities or complained about those premises?
No, Chair.
Sophia?
No, no problems with any other premises.
Alicia? Or Felicity?
No, I haven't either.
Alicia, okay, we can't get through to Alicia. Emmanuel, did you got a raised hand?
Yes, Chair. I've just been informed that Councillor Daly has some new evidence that she would like to introduce at this stage, and I would just like to inform her that if all the parties agree that she can at this stage, then she can raise it. However, if it's something substantial, then we may have to adjourn. But if it's from what I'm told, it's just pictures. So I'm just raising the point to ask what kind of evidence is she trying to present at this time, and if she still wants to do that.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. Can I firstly ask the licensing officer, Adrian, are you aware of any of this?
I wasn't aware of any extra evidence, Chair, but as Emmanuel set out, I believe that's in our procedure, that with the consent of all parties at a hearing, new evidence can be produced. But I don't know whether the license holder would have an issue with that. It's obviously may potentially prejudice him, but them rather.
Okay, can I ask the license holder if they've got any objections?
They should have presented it to you.
Yeah. What is it? What? Jared, you might answer that.
I think, Honourable Chair, I think if any of the parties had some evidence, legal procedures is they should have presented that to the committee and to the.
Okay, Joe, you've only got to just say, you have a right to object to it.
Yes.
And if you wish to object, you don't have to qualify that.
All right, so I do object to that.
Okay, thank you for your objection. Now, I have some questions which I still haven't worked through, and as it works out, I was going to ask Councillor Daly some questions. Councillor Daly, obviously you know this area and you've got to know the residents. Tell me what it's like living around the area, and because obviously we're over in Fulham, so we're not immediately aware of how things are. And compared to the other, because there's other sort of similar side roads, aren't there? And I'm really asking you to just give us a feel for the area and for what's going on. And please, please give us an idea.
Thank you, Chair. So the area that it's in is in Addison Ward, and it backs on to some of the really lovely roads, kind of Poplar, that kind of the bridge between Shepherd's Bush Road and Goldhawk Road. Now the area is the main roads that cut through are always really busy. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of shops, there's bars on them, they're really buzzy, and they're very active. There's kind of a tube station, there's the little local supermarkets. There's a lot goes on kind of both of those roads at either end of it. Wooddew Road is a really lovely, quiet little cul-de-sac. It's got these really nice apartments, apex courts, and to the kind of left of those and further round, they're sort of family townhouses, if you like, just kind of side by side. Where if the sports cafe was facing out onto Goldhawk Road, like the Syncombe or again, all the kind of other bars and restaurants that are on Goldhawk Road, I can't imagine the residents would have any issues at all. The issue is that the door is on this little residential road, and it's not just on the road. It's actually probably the evidence I had was just a couple of Google Map pics that could just show you how far up the road it was.
If you can tell me in meters,
I'll describe it. Yeah, so it's about, I'm gonna say, well, if I can do this, maybe sort of 4 or 5 meters up Wooddew Road, and there are kind of little parking area outside there, and then round on Goldhawk Road.
So would it be fair to say that's 3 or 4 car lengths?
So it's probably let me just double check. I don't want to say anything out that's wrong here. It is 1, 2, 3 car lengths up, maybe kind of a van and a couple of car lengths. So it's not actually on Goldhawk Road, and that I think is the crux of the problem. There's residential properties right on it, just next door to it. So there are, even if you could even say that the rest of Wooddew Road wasn't impacted, there are some residents right on top of it that are and have to be, just because of where it is.
Okay, thank you. And sorry, to be fair, I can also let Councillor Milton answer this. How much extra trade would there be after the hours when all the other places have closed? Because the only thing I can think of that might be open is the Westfield Cinema, which can tip out quite late, but it generally sort of starts to close down at around this time, and there's no other drinking establishments around the area, are there?
Sorry, Chair, is that for me or is that for Councillor Melton?
Either one of you, if you know.
So Shepherd's Bush doesn't really have much of a kind of a late scene, I'll be honest. There is the music venue on, and there are a couple of hotels that are up on the green, so a little bit further up. I know that some residents are really worried that what an extension to that license will do is it will attract people coming out of the bars at 11 o'clock all around to go to that venue to stay out for another hour or another 2 hours, whatever that might be. So I suppose what Mr. Tsegaye would get is potentially a very large audience, a very kind of large market, because there's probably quite a lot of people with nowhere to go at that point. But that's exactly what the residents are really fearful of, the kind of the increase, the level of noise and the lateness that will go. Okay,
well, thank you for that. And maybe you've got your hand up, Samuel, but I can't take that. But I do have a question for you. So maybe the two will add up to the same thing. What if you stay open later? Are you looking to just allow your existing customers to carry on at the place, or are you looking to bring in new business?
No. Only existing customers, because after 11 o'clock, no new admissions.
Okay.
We can't serve. Yeah. So even whether Spoon closes after us, even the Syndicum, the Brewdog. So after 11, there is no. We can't serve a new admission. That's what we agreed with the police. Yeah. So that's one extra, Chris. You're probably aware that Queen's Park Rangers' football ground is fairly nearby, and you can't get into any of the bars on a match day.
Do you pick up on that trade, or is it a more exclusive clientele that you have?
No football, no other. It's a purely mainly community people that who do come to us. So the QPR, we don't even see them. They go more like on Axbridge Road. They don't even come to Golddock Road at all.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And unless either of my councillors have thought of, sorry, the other committee members have thought of any additional questions, I will move on to our summing up period, to our summing up time, and ask the licensing officer to sum up, please.
I've only just got to clarify a couple of points. Thank you, Chair. Just to say that the licence that's in effect at the moment was actually granted in May 2021. And I've looked back at that and I can see that there was no objection from local residents at the time. The licence was obviously consulted on, a normal 28-day consultation period. There was an objection raised by Environmental Health, but conditions were agreed that were then attached to the licence. So there was no need for it to go to a committee. Unfortunately, I can't see any previous licence at the premises on our system. I know another premises was mentioned, but I don't have any record of that at the moment. I don't know. It could have been that it wasn't providing licensable activities, or maybe it was a slightly different premises, so it's not showing up on our system, but can't give you any more information about that, unfortunately. Just in relation to other premises in the area, I know there's questions raised about that. That's on pages 43 to 45 of the report, and it's got the map, and then it shows the other licensed premises around there and the times that they're available, open until rather. Councillor Daly did actually mention about hours for the premises and our framework hours that are in our policy, and that's included in the report at section 5.2, just for your reference there as well. But I don't have anything else at the moment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Adrian. So I'll now move to the objectors to sum up. Now, you have 3 minutes each, or a total of 18 minutes for all the objectors. So I'm going to try and I think I'll do this in slightly different way.
Sorry, your microphone is very, very poor at the moment. Can you try and adjust the volume or sit further back from it as you speak?
Is that any better? Is that better?
No, it's not.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'll move on to the next section, which is 18 minutes for all the objectors in total. And I'll start with the local residents first, and I will finish with Councillor Daly and Anthony Fox. So, Councillor Daly, do you wish to speak twice for 3 minutes or once for 6 minutes?
Thanks, Chair. That's a big question. I will happily talk once, I think, if that's okay.
Thank you very much. So can I call first Carol Frigister Thomas?
Hi, thank you, Chair. The only addition to what I've said previously is, as mentioned by the applicant regarding the police kind of reports. I just want to say that in their application for the temporary CCTV camera, they haven't indicated anything directly linked to the sports sports cafe, but it's in the locality. And what the residents have said and what other people have said on the call today is the fact that the locality may attract people to the area who may want to consume alcohol at that time of night. So it's not, we haven't got evidence to link it directly with the sports cafe, but it's the locality of the incidents that was reported by the police. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Sophia Ali.
Hello, yes. Just 2 quick points. One, about the original license that was given. There was a Gilas Cafe there before. I don't know why there isn't a record of that. But if this license was granted recently, we, the residents, did not know anything about it. And in fact, this extension, we only found out 24 hours before the deadline. So that there were no objections to begin with, I know we didn't know about it, A. The second point, B, that I wanted to just mention was that even in the wake of this extension, we still have had a lot of loitering. We still have had a lot of litter. And I think that, and we've still had a lot of noise. So my concern with this extension is that would just, even if no new people were allowed in past 11, it's the leaving that would just go on for another hour. And it's untenable. Thank you.
Thank you. So Ms. Felicity Taylor.
Hello. Yes, I'd just like to address a point that was made about us not contacting the police about some of these incidents. That is actually not true at all. We have gone to our local community policing officer and raised these issues previously. And in addition to that, when one of the residents' wife and daughter was attacked outside the flat, obviously her sort of thought process at the time was to get her and her child safely inside the building as quickly as possible, not to stand out on the street with the person and call the police. But once this issue was raised to the directors of this building, I actually walked into Hammersmith police station and asked them for their advice of how we should treat this in the future. And we were given some instructions on how to deal with this. So whilst we don't have a crime reference number, the police have very much been made aware of the issues that we're facing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicity. Councillor Milton.
Thank you, Chair. The only point that I would draw out from this evening's discussion is one that I think is quite enlightening, that as has been highlighted by licensing officers, the residents did not make any objections to the original application. We've heard from a resident that there may have been a difficulty with communication, but that also suggests that their current concerns are a result of negative impacts of the current business and their experience of those. So I think it's quite instructive to highlight that there's a bit of a contrast between the perceptions of the original application and now today's application for an extension. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you very much. So by my calculations, Councillor Daly, because other people have been been slightly briefer, you have 7 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think I'm going to use 7 minutes. Felicity, thank you very much for kind of bringing up where those incidents have been reported. I think we should all bear in mind that the stats for street harassment that is reported to any authorities is in this country around 4%. So there can be a lot of street harassment without any crime references actually being issued. The residents that I've met there seem to me as the sort that just don't invent stories in the way that Jared, you suggested that they have. It's not something that they've done before for other applications. And I think that should speak for itself in some ways. I started off last time saying that the real crux of the issue for me was the nature of the street and the fact that it is a residential area. And if I'm kind of right, on page 21 of the published agenda is the guide for new or existing operators, suggested closing times for licensed premises, and under there, restaurants and cafes in residential areas are the recommended time for closing is 11 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays and 10 o'clock on Sundays. And I would just urge the committee to consider the number of residents that have come out and spoken and sent in objections, the location of it on a kind of a residential street and meters up the street, not facing the main road. Consider it a residential area and consider rejecting the extended application.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Daly. And finally, I'll come to Anthony Fox. And again, because Councillor Daly was briefer, you've got 4 minutes.
Thanks. I wonder, it just feels a bit disappointing that it doesn't seem that Samuel is acting in faith today. With there's a lot of difference of opinion, it seems, between what the residents have been raising and what the picture that Samuel's been painting is a completely different one. It's very disappointing to hear that. Going past that, I don't believe this business has improved on this local community at all. So I don't understand why he believes that. Just seeing from the number of residents objecting, obviously that number in itself speaks for itself. And I'm aware that this is not a hearing to, it's simply a hearing to actually review the current license extension request, but I would like to request that the overall license be reviewed.
Thank you, Tony. I don't believe that's within our power to do that. Is that correct, Emmanuel?
Yes, Chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Was there anything further you wanted to say, Mr. Fox?
No, thank you.
Okay, so we'll now go to the applicant, and the applicant has up to 18 minutes to sum up, and that would be Jared and Samuel in whichever order and however you want to do it, providing your microphone doesn't cause any more problems. So please, can we have your summing up?
So thanks, Mr. Chair. And so I would just like to say, like we said earlier, just to reiterate that the fact that Sam is willing to run the business with integrity and is willing to make sure that the community feels safe. And he's just trying to manage the business after COVID. Most business went down. So I'm just requesting the committee to consider the extension. It's just for an hour, and it's not going to have a negative impact to the community. I think I respect what the councillors have said, and I know they do a hard and respectable job. But I'm saying the business is there. The business contributes to the local economy, and extension means that it's going to benefit the local economy in a small way. And like we said, the police have agreed, and the last admissions will be for 11. So there's no new customers going to be admitted after 11 o'clock, 300 hours. So I think the impact to the local community is going to be very minimal. And so I'm just requesting the committee to consider, please, and extend the license as requested. Thank you.
Chair. And also, the residents keep on talking about noises coming, like on the weekend, like especially Friday, Saturday, and on the flat above, even from the other side flat, people from home, they drinking from home. There's a lot of noise, and no one is saying anything. And they keep on mentioning about me. I haven't done much, but after we finish, after we close, all the time I follow my customers so that they don't go left and right. So they go to the main, to the high road. And all the time after we finish, I sweep the floor. We even wash it with hot water and bleach. We clean anything. And in the morning, there is a council cleaner even comes, they clean the whole street. And I don't see any litter lingering in Woodgar Road at all. It's very clean street, and I make sure all the way after the Apex Court, if there's anything, bottles that comes, not even mine, I pick it up. And a lot of residents, they have witnessed, they have seen me mopping, sweeping, picking up litters, picking up bottles. It's not even mine. There's a lot of other people come, they park their cars to shop for, there's shops around the corner for, they pick up drinks and things like that. And it's not just the people who do come to me that will drop litter. There's no, unfortunately, around the Woodgar Road, there's no council provided bin. So the bin is all the way to Golden Hook Road from Apex Court. So all the time, I pick up all the rubbish, I bring it to my shop, or I put it to the council provided bins. And sometimes there are other people, they're not even my customers, but they look like us. I'm from Eritrea, and Eritrean, Ethiopian, Somalian, Sudanese, we all look alike, and they think they're my customers. And they know, and at some occasions, I have spoken to some Somali guys that who come around the corner, private hire drivers, and they eat their food and drop. And I say to them, hey, look, please don't drop any litter around here, because you guys are gonna be potentially being taken, like, people around here, they're gonna think you are my customers, and they don't understand what this is, what is, like, we're not in your shop, why are you talking to us? And I'm saying in a good way, please guys, let's keep our streets clean, and you can't do it here as well, because if I'm here, so I'm gonna take the blame. And for now, I'm gonna take this rubbish, but next time, please, if you do come around here, please don't leave any litter. I can't tell them not to come, because they're not coming for me. But there's a lot of misunderstanding going on between me, whatever my customer is, and who is my customers as well. Maybe to the local residents, they can think like, they are coming to me as well. So it's and another thing, I am literally not far from Gold Lock Road. I'm not way past, it's Apex Court is long way down from my door. I don't see any point why, that the business can't be there, or the insurance cannot be there. And the building is part of the Gold Lock Road. The Gold Lock Road is the building is quite massive, and it's just I'm a bit confused the way they're describing it about it's been on Woodgar Road. And like they said, they council taxpayer residents, and I am council payer as well. I mean, taxpayer, so I have the right to operate a business from whatever the street in the United Kingdom, I guess. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this chance.
Okay, is there anything final you want to say?
No, I mean, I look forward, to if you they'll give me the chance, to give me that 1 extra hour. We did ask for until 2 a.m. Unfortunately, that been rejected by the police, but it's only 1 hour. So please do grant me that 1 hour, and I'll do my absolute best. I wouldn't stop working hard to get things right, or I'll make sure everything runs smooth.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll now move on to the next part of the meeting, which are deliberations. The committee will now retire to take its decision in a separate meeting room. An adjournment tile will be displayed during deliberations. You are welcome to remain in the meeting to hear the committee decision. However, this may take some time. If you don't want to wait, a summary decision will be published on the council's website tomorrow morning. Can I ask members to turn off their video, mute their microphones, and join the private meeting in Teams for deliberations? Thank you.
Wait, no, you.
Hello, Francis. Are we able to start?
Yes, you can, Chair. Yes.
Firstly, I'd just like to thank everybody for giving up their time to come along this evening and to help the licensing committee consider an application. I'll now read the decision. The London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham summary decision of the licensing subcommittee, the committee, dated the 3rd of November 2022. 97 to 98 Sports Cafe, basement of 39A Goldhawk Road, London, W12 8QP, the premises. The committee has considered an application for the variation of a premises licence to vary the hours for the sale of alcohol and the opening hours, and add the provision of late night refreshment both indoors and outdoors of the existing premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003, the application. In summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all of the individual circumstances of this case and the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives, to reject the whole of the application. A copy of this committee's full decision, including its reasons, will be sent to the parties forthwith. If the applicant is unhappy with the decision, they are entitled to appeal to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision. This is the Licensing Committee, 3rd of November 2022. Thank you, and I wish you all good night.